Yeah, so I was thinking for this morning session, we could start with the body scan practice, to kind of settle for a bit, and then move into visualization practice with the Buddha. It's just a way to kind of energize and kind of inspire the mind. Visualization practice can be really supportive because it's energetic. You know, the bright lights, this kind of feeling, this warm presence of the Buddha, and you know, it can kind of help bring a more conducive inner atmosphere for meditation. So, so with visualization practice, when you go through this process and it's active, you know, imagining kind of getting kind of this kind of process with the Buddha and light and healing and clearing and inspiring. And then the Buddha will kind of dissolve into us, and we feel this kind of unification. You know, and again, it's just imagination, but doing that, it can kind of get us into the zone. So then that time, that meditation after like the Buddha dissolves and kind of comes into us, and we feel like our mind, Buddha's mind, are the same, which in reality they are. They have this kind of empty nature that's actually indistinguishable in reality. We're just not recognizing. So this is kind of a kind of skillful practice to help us wake up to that reality. So that time when the Buddha's with us and in us, and we feel inseparable or in union, that can be a really precious time to meditate. It's there because now we're kind of centered, gathered, and it's created this nice atmosphere for our meditation. So then that could be a time where we can actually do some mudra practice, or you know, just kind of relaxing and opening into awareness. And that's kind of the point of the process, is that the visualizations help deepen our awareness practice. You know, give us that support. So I thought we could do that to start with, and then take a break, and then do a short loving kindness practice, and then you can try to experiment with this practice called seeing the clarity, trying to recognize the clarity of the mind, which is one of the meditations in this course. Yeah, and there's ways of looking at thought and watching the disillusion and kind of trying to catch that gap moment to kind of notice clarity. So something we can just kind of play with and experiment. And that should probably bring us to the break for lunch, I think. Let's see what time it's 9:20. Yeah, for sure. So this first session will go a bit longer, and then the other sessions will be a little bit shorter, maybe 20 minutes each. And then we'll do a little stretching exercise, and then 20 minutes. So we won't be sitting too intense and long. But I think with the first session, since we'll start with the body scan, that we'll just kind of go straight through the body scan and then to the practice with the Buddha. Yeah, and I like to say, like with the body sensation, sometimes it can be kind of difficult, can maybe bring up this discomfort or this pain. You know, I'm just giving kind of a guide, but if it's anything becomes intense for you or uncomfortable, and you kind of need to kind of not focus so much in the body, then that's totally fine. And one way you can do so is just to kind of maybe change your awareness to just to notice the sounds. You know, if there's anything kind of becomes intense, or feel the hands, you know, just kind of come into the room, and let your meditation just kind of be with the sound in the room, space in the room, maybe sensations in your hands or feet, whatever feels comfortable, or the breath if that's more comfortable. Yeah, so if that ever comes up, please do whatever feels safe and comfortable for you. Okay. I'm going to share the screen so we can pull up. And so forth. We'll just start by relaxing into our seat. And take some deep breaths. And we can take a moment to connect with a quality of intention for our practice this morning. Recognizing that we're engaging in the practice as an act of kindness to ourselves. And we give our minds and our hearts some nourishment, attention. And doing this as an act of supporting ourselves. And also recognizing this act of kindness is profound potential. I'm fortunate to come into contact with a wisdom tradition. That can allow our hearts and minds to blossom and to open more, so that we can also be of great benefit to others. And we can begin to strengthen and develop and expand our capacity for love and compassion. And we can offer love and compassion into the world. Sense of peace and resourcefulness. So we're doing these practices today, a sense of, and try to bring a sense of lightheartedness and kindness. Possible, a bigger aspiration for awakening to this. And if you like, we can chant together the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, just in English. Say in English one time. Sangye chodang sogye chodang chanchu balu dabi gyapsu chi dagi chonye sunam chola benjir sangye drupa Sangye chodam zogi chodam chanchu vadu dagi yatsu chi dagi chonye sonam chola penje sangye yuva Sangye chodam sogi chodam chanchu vadu dagi yatsu chi dagi chonen gire sunam ki chola penjir sangye drupa cho. I go for refuge and tone enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create to this names of Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So for the later part of the practice, there's the image of the Buddha. I need a reference, but hopefully we can not necessarily look at the screen, but either have our eyes closed or if you want to turn your gaze away from the screen, that may be helpful. And then I also I'll put the mantra of the Buddha. So we'll recite the mantra towards the end of this practice. And so I have that there for reference if you need. We can start with the body scan to allow our presence to settle and come into our body. First, we just bring our attention to the natural breathing process, feeling the movement of the breath in the body. And like you can bring your attention to the crown of your head. And then begin to become aware of any sensations, feelings in the crown. And just trying to have a quiet awareness, just observing, kind of waking up our sense of sensation, our body as you breathe. And moving down to the back of the head, to the point where the skull and neck connect. Aware of sensation. And moving to the face. Feel some sensation in the face and jaw, relaxing any tension. And sweeping down to the neck. And then starting from the top of the back, sweeping down through the back. becoming aware of sensation, feeling present in the back. And just trying to keep a quiet, present awareness to whatever is there. If there's pain, and see if you can lightly try to soften around the pain. There's not too much. Noticing any tensions, just noticing the fluid movement of sensation. Noticing that there's dead spots where you don't notice any sensation, it's okay as well. Sweep down to the front of the torso, the chest, and abdomen. And then starting from the left shoulder, gradually sweep down the left arm to the fingertips. And here you can also go into not just the skin, but the muscle and bone, the arm. Just awakening to the sensations there. And starting at the right shoulder, sweeping down the right arm, fingertips. And then from the sit bones, sweep down the left leg down to the toes. Sweeping down to the right leg, to the toes. And you can gradually begin to sweep back up from the feet, up through the body, down the head. And then gradually becoming aware of the sensation and feeling throughout the body as a whole. As you breathe, sensation, feelings moving throughout. Just changing moment to moment. And we're just trying to bring a quiet, present awareness to that process. It may be helpful to imagine that the body is porous. It's like the whole body is breathing. You breathe in, breathing into the whole body. You exhale, you're exhaling to the whole body as a whole. And staying aware of sensation and feeling. If we can, try to bring in a sense of acceptance, equanimity, spaciousness to whatever is arising as we breathe. And then within this space of awareness, the space in front of you at the level of the forehead, arises a petaled white lotus, in the nature of light. And on top of the lotus appears a moon disk lying flat. And on top of the lotus and moon disk appears Shakimuni Buddha. Buddha is gold in color, in the nature of light. Wears the saffron robes of a monk. And is seated in the full lotus posture. And his left hand rests in his lap, holding a begging bowl. It's filled with nectar. Symbolizing the blissfulness of the nature of mind. And his right hand rests over his right knee in the gesture of touching the earth. Symbolizing the confidence in his Buddha nature and awakening. Buddha gazes at us with narrow, compassionate eyes. And smiles. Buddha's presence is this radiant, unconditional, non-judgmental love and compassion. That radiates and envelops and holds us in that presence. The visualization is difficult, but it's not a problem. The main quality is to just imagine being in the presence of the Buddha in space with you. And the Buddha, source of healing, inspiration, purification, guidance, love and compassion, and wisdom. And take refuge and request to help us awaken, recognize our own Buddha nature, awaken our full human potential. Awaken our love and wisdom so that we can be of great benefit to others. And from the Buddha's heart, radiant golden light begins to radiate out. And descends and comes into the crown of our heads. And this radiant, warm wisdom energy permeates our body, filling our body and mind, cleaning away emotional difficulties, obstacles to our practice and health. This warm, loving energy brings healing, clarity, nourishment, and resource. Wisdom. From the Buddha's heart, we begin to hear the sound of the mantra emanating. Like we can chant together. Jaya ta ma so Jaya ta ma so Jaya ta ma Jaya ta ma Jaya Jaya Maha So Jaya Jaya Maha Jaya Jaya Maha So 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 you can just let go, relax quietly in space of awareness. Being with any felt quality that remains from the mantra. And we can become aware again of the Buddha in the space before us. And the Buddha comes to rest above the crown of our head, facing the same direction as us. And the Buddha begins to descend down to the crown of our head, becoming smaller and smaller, until coming to rest our hearts. And again, light radiates from the Buddha at our hearts, filling our bodies, totally enveloping us. We feel a sense of oneness and blessing. A sense of oneness with the Buddha and our Buddha nature. And we can dedicate whatever positive energy we've created in this practice and lead us to awaken to our full potential. And we would be of lasting value to every living being without exception. To awaken their full potential. In the heart of awakening, bodhicitta, and where it has not begun to grow, begin to grow. Where it has begun to grow, may it grow incessantly for the welfare of all. Okay, so maybe we can take a 10-minute break.
If you just want to turn your cameras off, we'll just continue recording, or I'll pause the recording.
Perfect, yeah, let's maybe come back at 10:18 or so, 10:20.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. If you like, you can pay particular attention to the quality of the out breath. Allow the out breath to be a settling, relaxing breath. Settling into the body. It's comfortable. And if you like, you can bring part of our awareness down to the lower part of our body, to our seat, to our legs, feet. Begin to connect with this sense of ground, with the earth below as we breathe. And then from this connection and sense of ground, and bring our awareness up into the trunk of the body. We like begin to become aware of the sensations and feelings in the trunk of the body as you breathe. And just observing the quiet, present awareness as best we can. Not wanting anything to be different. Observing, accepting what's there. our head. Eventually becoming aware of sensation and feeling throughout the body as a whole. If we can, just allowing, bringing in a sense of acceptance or equanimity to whatever is arising as we breathe. Allowing sensations, feelings, sounds, thoughts to go where they need to go. And from this place of presence, we can begin our loving kindness practice. And it's okay, we can start with ourselves. And it's helpful, you can imagine yourself in the space in front of you, or we can just put our sense of presence as well. And begin to offer wishes. May I be happy. May I be at ease. May I feel nourished. May my mind be free. Slowly and gently offer these wishful thoughts. And if you're imagining yourself in space in front of you, imagine sending those wishes in the form of light. They go from your heart and touch yourself in front of you, the heart and feeling. If this feels difficult or challenging, just be gentle with ourselves. Just offering gentle, kind wishes. May I be happy, may I be at ease. May my mind be free and feel nourished. May I be content. And if you can bring to mind someone close to you, and include them as well in this practice. Imagining their presence in front of you. And just kind of tuning in or observing their humanity. And their basic wish, basic need or drive for happiness and contentment, so forth. Just becoming aware of that at first. And maybe noticing the affection you have for them. And from that affection, again, and comfortable to send wishes, these loving wishes. May you be happy. May you be at ease. And be nourished and have what you need. And may you be free. Joyful. It helps. Imagine this love coming from your heart in the form of light, going out to their, touching their heart, filling their body, bringing about love, happiness, joy, sense of ease, protection, whatever you feel they need. And if you can include someone you don't know, maybe somebody you see in the neighborhood, at the grocery store, neighbor, someone you don't know, imagine their presence in front of you as well. Or somebody neutral that you see around. And also become aware, recognize your basic human longing and desire for happiness, well-being, comfort, and so forth. And when ready, also begin to send down the same wishes. And if you like, we can imagine um, this loving kindness to radiate out to everyone in our um, neighborhood, town, city, all those around us, humans, animals. Just recognizing all their wishes and desire for happiness and well-being. May they all be happy. May they all be at ease. May they all be nourished and safe, free, and joyful. The sense of loving kindness to spread as far as we can imagine. We can let go of the imagination and practice and just come back to the room, to the space we're in. Come back to the breath. Then let's take maybe 2 minutes, 2, 3 minutes, just to stand up and stretch. Do some stretches. It's going to lead a little bit. I think we don't. Maybe just for time, we can just stretch to what we need. Really, yeah. Just take a moment to just move our bodies around slowly, mindfully. And stand up if you like. Okay. Yes, I thought we could try the clarity practice before lunch, because usually after lunch is not so clear time. It can be good to do this practice in short intervals, actually. Um, so what we'll try is we'll just pick an uninteresting thought. We'll start the meditation and we'll hold a thought in our mind and just look directly at the thought, and then allow that thought to kind of naturally dissolve, dissipate, disappear. And we'll see if we can kind of notice the gap between the thought before another thought arises. So that the thought will dissolve, and see if we can notice that clarity of awareness itself. So there's there's always this kind of backdrop of clarity, awareness that's present. That's how we're aware. But generally, we're we're so accustomed to noticing the content and not that kind of space clarity. So we're always noticing the objects in the room and not the space within the room itself, and that kind of clear
Justin,
space.
do you have any sort of tip for pain? I got a hip that just keeps flaring and getting angry. I've done the stretches between both. But it still flares. So is there any, should I move? Should I?
Yeah, if you want to stand, maybe you want to try, well, the practice will be about 10 minutes, so you're welcome to try standing up. That would help, yeah, because if it's just pain, then it's hard to, I mean, you could, yeah, I mean, you could stay with the pain as your object, and that can be interesting, but if also or not.
Okay.
But maybe I don't know if the standing kind of help alleviate some of the flare up.
Usually, if I can put my foot down, it'll.
Okay, yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, don't feel like you need to hold some posture. Whatever is comfortable. The main thing is just being comfortable and not sleepy. So.
Okay.
If whatever feels comfortable, don't feel like you have to hold yourself in a particular.
Maybe the pain is good.
What's that?
Maybe the pain is good. It'll keep me awake.
Okay. Yeah. So whatever.
I'd like to throw in there real quick.
Yeah.
Oh well, Shayla, that was an excellent question. The other question that I would ask too is that sometimes in the lotus position, my legs will go numb. Do you have suggestions for that?
Yeah, my leg falls asleep a lot too. I guess you just want to be careful if it feels like, and if you feel like if it's not painful and it's not a problem and you want to finish your practice, then no problem. Just be careful when you get up. One of my teachers said she sprained her ankle pretty bad because they were was asleep and she didn't notice it. So just being careful. But yeah, it could be maybe if it's going numb, if the lotus position isn't comfortable, maybe spending time not in lotus and just crossing the legs, or half lotus. Maybe sometimes half lotus can be or doable for our bodies. So if it's going numb a lot pretty frequently, I mean, maybe it could be too much, so you can just kind of gauge with half lotus or just cross leg. Because again, the fundamental principles of the practice is upright, trying to have an upright spine that's not tense, relaxation, and sense of steadiness, so we can feel kind of grounded and at ease. One metaphor what my first meditation teacher gave I like is body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. And that mountain isn't rigid. Mountain just kind of is just there. It feels, it's not tight, it's not rigid, it's just body's just there. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
Time, body like a mountain.
Yeah, body like a mountain, breath like the wind. So the breath isn't forced. It's not held. It's just kind of fluid and natural. And then mind like the sky. Again, not squeezing, not trying to push.
Very nice.
But the sky is open, wakeful. Yeah, because the practice really, Buddhism in a nutshell is saying anytime we're kind of unconsciously reacting, we're creating karma, and that's just going to perpetuate this kind of unconscious pattern, and it can go wherever the wind, wherever the current goes. And the antidote to that is waking up to that and being present without the reaction. So being with reality as it is, so the pain isn't necessarily, it can be intense, but in Buddhist psychology, there's pain and then there's suffering. And the suffering is the response to the pain. So the pain, maybe we can't really, we can work the different posture, we can get therapies and different things to help mitigate the pain and work with the pain, which we should do. And then there's the psychological relationship with the pain, and how can we work with that where it's not where we feel more free, and there isn't that sense of struggle. And that kind of goes with any phenomena, actually. Not with physical pain, it could be a painful mental object comes up, some memory or thoughts, or more pleasurable thing. It can be anything. It's allowing that kind of, Lama Yeshe would say, like, we're really trying to get to a flexible, being able to be flexible is kind of one of the ground, like that first kind of steps to really kind of as ground in our practice before we kind of go deeper into our, what's possible. That kind of initial kind of wellness and ground in our practice is developing that sense of flexibility. Like when stuff comes up, we can be with it and not be overtaken, not swept away by it, or not adverse. There's a ability to bring presence and wakefulness and a sense of present relationship with something that's in flexibility. With Christine's picture with that ocean, like it's not like we'll ever have, the ocean's never going to be still.
That's my happy spot.
Yeah, I know. I figured that's my happy spot too. So I appreciate the image very much. It's really wonderful. Yeah, so we can't. The ocean's never gonna be still. And that's life. Actually, life's never still. That's one of the first facts of life, that if we can really tune to, that it can also free us, because life doesn't stay still ever. But at the same time, the ocean, it has this big accommodating. Ocean can be with the waves, it can be with the storms, it can be with it allows the fish and this whole ecosystem kind of move through, and it can hold all of it. So that's what we're starting. That's what the path's trying to help develop our capacity towards. Is to being with. How are we being with what is present for us? And that's what our chance is, I think. Yeah, and there's this danger with that. There's, it's all this amazing technology, or whatever you want, spiritual practices, whatever you want to call it, all these techniques and applications that we can have, but those can kind of get co-opted with that attitude of wanting to, change something or be something different, where it can be kind of a trap. And we do want to kind of evolve and change. It's true, but that attitude alone, trying to open is kind of that precious foundation to work with, and then the techniques can support that, further that, deepen that. So we did that instead of the clarity meditation, which was totally fine. I think we're kind of pushing it anyway with time. So now we'll take a lunch break until, for us West Coasters. Oh, sorry about internet. Can you hear me okay? Better. Yeah, so 1:30 Mountain Time, 12:30 Pacific. We'll start up.
Sounds great.
That sounds great.
Okay,
Awesome.
have a good lunch break.
You too.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to pause the recording so you can just turn your camera off again.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to hop out, Shayla, and I'll be back. Thank you.
Teachers who I learned this kind of style of practice. He records his retreats too, so I've gone back and used the recordings. It's really very helpful. So it's really great. That moving into the body for me, it just really shifted my practice a lot, because I was telling Shayla earlier, when we talk about being present, sometimes if our energy is just so kind of tight in the head, which is kind of what happens with how the modern life is kind of oriented. It's very cognitive, very kind of fast in head energy. If we're just being full, bring presence throughout our full body, can really kind of open up to help the practice really a journey to kind of take place. I find it's quite helpful. And I don't know, I just find that it's not for everybody, but I do find it's easier for me to anchor when it's kind of to a full body kind of orientation. So good news. I'm glad. Good to hear, and thanks for the feedback. I never know. We're all just kind of sitting here, so I never know how it's going. And good morning, Jay. Hope you had a good night's rest.
Thank you. Good morning. Good way to start my day.
Great. Yeah, so for this kind of afternoon period or morning period, thinking kind of go along similar lines actually, just kind of keeping in tune with the meditations that are usually designated for this course. So I think again we'll start with the body bit. And then from there, bring in the Shakimuni Buddha practice again. And this time we'll kind of have a bit of a twist to it. So when the Buddha will go through kind of the light and kind of healing, kind of clearing process, and then bring the Buddha will come into our hearts, and then we'll try what's called like kind of a dissolution meditation. So we'll try to kind of connect with a sense of spaciousness, allowing the kind of the Buddha kind of uniting with us as a kind of we kind of open a process where we can just kind of open and imagine our mind like a sky. So starting to kind of touch into the sky-like nature of mind. And the sky is one of the kind of main metaphors for the kind of basic nature of awareness. And again, that the sky isn't really affected by the clouds. The clouds might cover, and just like our thoughts and emotions will come through, but the sky itself is always clear, open, and accommodating. So we'll come in, we'll spend a little time trying to imagine connecting with this sky-like kind of quality of awareness. And then from that, we'll imagine ourselves kind of as the Buddha. So, and this is kind of process in deity practice. And it's okay to do with Shakimuni Buddha, it's okay to imagine yourself as Shakimuni Buddha. Usually with some of the other practices, you kind of need to go through a formal kind of initiating process. With Shakimuni Buddha, it's okay. And so this is another kind of way of kind of identifying and kind of awakening our Buddha nature through kind of an imagination. I find it quite powerful. Like there's something very powerful about the relationship, like having the Buddha outside and developing a relationship that way. Like it's different. There's a kind of devotion and kind of connection, longing, kind of inspiration. And then bringing it into ourselves and dissolving our own ordinary sense of self, letting go of our kind of tight container, opening to this kind of more universal kind of space. And from that, in that space, we arise as the Buddha. And so then Buddha is present for us. Like I know it's just a different, deeper kind of process. And then, and then from there, earlier today we were, the Buddha was sending light into us and bringing healing, inspiration, and so forth. We'll do that as ourselves as the Buddha. So we'll imagine ourselves as the Buddha, and then from there, light will kind of go out and offer kind of love and compassionate energy and so forth. It's also a very powerful way of opening a heart and connecting with compassion. Because sometimes, I don't know, so like self-doubt or just kind of like different things can kind of get in the way, and this kind of way of just relaxing and identifying, imagining in this way can give us a boost, you could say. So we'll try that out and then take a break, and then we'll do an equanimity meditation, which is very similar to the loving kindness meditation where we have different people that we're kind of sending love. This one will work with equanimity and bias. And then take another break and then finish with, we'll try that clarity practice that we didn't get to earlier this morning. Hopefully we won't be too sleepy by then. Does that all sound okay? Any questions? What else? No.
I don't have any.
I've just got one. I'm wondering why one doesn't need an initiation to do Buddha. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I've read. I think maybe it's just because the Buddha is the founder, the tradition. Maybe it there just kind of creates this. There's this more of a kind of open channel there. I'm not quite. Read it. It's in the Lamrim tradition, the graduate stage of the path tradition, and it's come up before. And some Lama explained why it was okay, but I actually don't remember. This was a few hundred years ago. It's okay with Shakimuni Buddha.
Thank you.
Very helpful answer. Somebody said it was okay. So somebody that we trust in the church. Yeah, and there's a practice that Lama Zopa Rinpoche wrote called Daily Practice of Shakimuni Buddha. It's an amazing practice that can be a nice kind of foundational practice for getting oriented to spending practice in this tradition. So it has a lot of prayers, it kind of a lot of different contemplation topics where you can stop and kind of contemplate. It kind of gives the whole, all the different topics of the path. It's very kind of robust resource and practice. And then with the visualization centered on Shakimuni Buddha and so forth. Yeah, and something about the golden energy of the Buddha. There's just something that I remember doing this practice, just getting started, that I found very I don't know, very supportive. There's something very kind of supportive and enriching to this practice. So I'm going to give it a shot. Again, I'll share the screen. Trying to, there we go. Yeah. So if you need a visual reference there, but ideally, I'll just kind of guide. So you don't necessarily want to stare at the screen, but if you need a nice visual reference image. Okay. So we'll bring our awareness back to breathing. Flow of the breath in the body. If you like, you can pay particular attention to the quality of the out breath. Allow this out breath to be settling, relaxing breath, settling into the body on the exhale. We should bring part of our attention down to the lower part of our body, from feet to our legs, feet. Begin to connect with a sense of ground, with the earth below as we breathe. And then from that connection to ground, and bring awareness up into the trunk of the body. And begin to become aware of the sensations and feelings present in the trunk of the body as we breathe. And just trying to have a quiet, present awareness, just observing whatever is rising. Not wanting anything to be different, judging. When you're ready, you can gradually expand your awareness into the limbs, the arms, legs, and the head. And then eventually becoming aware of movement, sensation, and feeling about the body as a whole as you breathe. And maybe you can try to bring a sense of acceptance and equanimity and spaciousness towards whatever is arising, whatever is present. Feelings, sensations, thoughts, sounds. Just allowing them to go where they need to go and to move naturally on their own. And then within this space of awareness, the space in front of you, about at the level of the forehead, arises an 8-petaled white lotus in the nature of light. And on top of the lotus is a white moon disk lying flat. On top of the lotus and moon disk appears Shakimuni Buddha. It's radiant golden color and seated in the full lotus posture, wearing the saffron robes of a monk. And his left hand rests in his lap, holding the begging bowl filled with nectar. Symbolizing the blissful nature of the mind. And his right hand rests over his right knee, a gesture of touching earth. Symbolizing his confidence in Buddha nature, his awakening. And he smiles with narrow, compassionate eyes, gazing like a loving parent for an only child. Again, the details aren't so important to me. Things that feel presence of the Buddha in the space before me. Radiating, holding you in this compassionate, loving, non-judgmental wisdom energy. And to the Buddha, who's the source of healing and inspiration, guidance, purification, awakening. Take refuge in Christ. Help us transform and heal, and to open to our basic nature. So we may have great benefit to all living beings. From the Buddha's heart begins to radiate golden light. It comes to the crown and enters through our crown. Clearly permeating every cell in the body. This warm, loving wisdom energy of the Buddha heals and clears the emotional energy, physical pain, the obstacles to practice. Really dissolving those challenges. bringing healing and inspiration and anything that we need in our practice. Groundedness, focus, radiant golden energy flowing through us. When the Buddha comes to rest above the crown of our head, facing the same direction as us. It begins to descend down into us through our crown, getting smaller and smaller until coming to rest at our heart. And again, the Buddha radiates light that fills and permeates our body. This light expands out in all directions. Expanding out beyond the earth, out into the reaches of space. Melting everything into this nature of emptiness. Everything, including ourselves, kind of dissolves and opens into the sky like nature. And just feel a sense of spaciousness and oneness with the Buddha's mind. Any thoughts arises, it arises and dissolves back into this spacious awareness. It's empty space. And then from within the space, there rises a sense or intention to want to benefit and help other beings. And from this loving intention into space, we arise in the form of the Buddha. On the white lotus and lotus. Body is in nature of gold and light. He's hidden full of his posture with the saffron robes of a monk. And our left hand rests in our lap with a begging bowl full of nectar. Our right hand rests over our right knee, and gesture touching the earth. We smile with narrow, compassionate eyes. Within an aura of radiant light. And from our hearts as manifesting as the Buddha, light begins to radiate out, going to those in our life who need support. This loving, compassionate light enters their hearts and fills their body. And you begin to hear the sound of the mantra. As the light continues to flow from our hearts. We can chant this together. Taya, ta, ma, zo. Taya, ta, ma. Sayata Mahamunaye 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 Sayata Maha Sayata Maha Sayata Mahamunaye Sayata Mahamunaye So and you can just rest and relax in that spacious awareness. And whatever felt quality remains in the mantra. We can imagine feeling the sense that all beings before are also manifest into Buddha. Fully awakened to their intention. Okay. Thank you. So we can take a 10-minute break and come back at we're on a lot of different time zones, so 10 minutes from now. Yeah. So 1:30 Pacific, 2:30 Mountain, and whatever it is in Australia. See you in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
I left the recording on, so welcome back. I left the recording on, so welcome back.
Oh, right on. Is everybody else back?
Yes.
Christine, are you with us yet?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, any questions, or how did that go, the last practice session?
I fell asleep,
Oh, right on.
sitting upright.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I brewed more coffee and hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, the afternoon. Yeah, the afternoon practice sessions usually, that's why I was feeling pretty sleepy too. Oh, good. Yeah, so meditation.
Absolutely meditation hangover.
Yeah, so let's see. So the next practice is the equanimity practice. We can just chat about it briefly before we go into it. So it's similar to the loving kindness practice we did earlier with picking different people. But with equanimity practice, there's three categories usually. There's the ones that we're close to, kind of those, maybe those that we favor, close to, those that we feel neutral to, or just strangers, kind of ambivalent to, and those that are difficult for us. And so the practice is trying to help us kind of melt away those kind of biased kind of boxes that we put people in, and help us start to kind of embody a more kind of equal, unbiased, sense of. And so the equanimity sometimes can come off. It's not ambivalence. It's not kind of numbness. It is a felt kind of respect and kind of appreciation. It's not quite loving kindness, where loving kindness is really focused in this particular way of really wanting focused on wanting happiness for the other, positive things. Equanimity is kind of just having this kind of balanced, equal, open attitude. That's that kind of it's like when we kind of squeeze people into boxes, like it actually kind of limits our feelings and our capacity to be with others. And this Holiness Dalai Lama, says pretty much anytime he gives a public talk, when he says, when I see another human being, I just see another human being. Anytime I see somebody, I don't feel lonely because I see another human being. I'm a human being. I feel connected to them. And I think that's what's kind of there when we're able to kind of melt away these kind of biases and categories and really take in somebody fully. And so the idea is that all deserve that kind. You know, at the fundamental level, there's just a basic, goodness that we all share, humans and animals and non-humans. We all have this kind of basic goodness that's fundamental to who we are. And equanimity is kind of practice is trying to draw us into that, recognizing that basic goodness. Yeah, and then we can also kind of see that how those categories form. We can kind of see there's like a self-referencing, like I like these people because they're nice to me, or I'm having something in common with them, or whatever. Maybe just I know them and I can develop affection. And I don't have that same kind of response to somebody I don't know, who's just kind of passing by. So and so it's like I project kind of stranger on them, or you know, my taking in of them is not sensitive to that deeper sense of themselves, who they are. You know, maybe I see a clerk at a store or whatever, and not even aware of it, but I am kind of just labeling them, kind of they're just this person. Oh, that's that neighborhood guy or whatever. Or, you know, or I get distracted with kind of superficial things or whatever. And so this is kind of trying to help us get below the surface and then kind of into a deeper kind of recognition of all of us. And then with the difficult category, in terms of practice tips, we want to start out with somebody that's not too difficult. So if there's really, if we have some really challenging relationships with people, not necessarily starting with that, it's getting, starting with somebody that's a lot easier to practice with. And then we get the sense of it, and we get like, oh yeah, okay, I see how I can feel a little bit irritated by this person, and I was able to dissolve it and kind of find underneath it. And then maybe if somebody's a little bit tougher, oh wow, I did it, you know, like I was able to kind of move, and that kind of whole projection I had of them, like that kind of melted away, and then I felt a sense of connection with them. So we do that in little gradual steps. We don't want to just kind of jump into the deep end, because it can be challenging. And I think there's benefit in doing it in a simple way, just to get what it's actually meant to feel like and what the process is meant to be like. And then once we're starting to get more fluency with it, then we can start to expand. And this equanimity practice, in terms of how it fits in the path, it's also kind of a prerequisite for developing bodhicitta. So we release the biases and have a sense, you know, we talk about may all beings, I wish all beings. So that's like actually to be able to do, it's important that we have kind of lay the foundation. And so equanimity starts, and then we start to develop bodhicitta based on that equanimity. Yeah, any thoughts or questions or comments? Any experience you had if you've done this practice before you want to share? Okay. Yeah, so let's try it. And then, I'll give signposts and guidance, but allow it to kind of work out in your own language. Everybody kind of processes different. Some people are more visual, some people are more linguistic. See what works for you. But but the basic practice will be, we'll start with one person who's in the friend category, then the stranger category, and then a difficult, challenging person, and then. Okay.
Christine's hand is raised. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You were heading into meditation. I didn't want to interrupt. You said 4 categories: friends, then
3 friends, strangers, and enemies or irritants.
adversaries. Got it.
Adversary. Well, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we can see those kind of, again, those root kind of that we've been talking about in this course, those kind of root reactivities of attachment, kind of grasping. I got my click or whatever, got my peeps, and then ambivalence is ignorance, and then the aggression is how it plays out in our relationships. Yeah, so let's start with some breathing meditations. You can relax, quiet the mind a bit. And again, coming into the breathing in the body, wherever it's comfortable. If you like, you can pay particular attention to the quality of the out breath. Allow that out breath to be settling and relaxation process. Settling into our body, settling into the seat in the out breath. Again, if you like, you can bring part of your awareness down, lower part of the body, into the bones, legs, feet. Settle into and connect with the sense of ground. Connect with the sense of the earth below as you breathe. And again, we can bring from this connection to the ground, bringing our awareness up into the trunk of the body. And becoming aware of sensation and feeling in the trunk of the body as we breathe. And trying to just have a quiet, open, present awareness with the sensations and feelings, or thoughts, whatever is arising, allowing them just to move and come and go as they naturally do. Without judging or trying to change anything. And we can gradually expand our awareness through the limbs, the arms, legs, and head. Eventually, an aware of sensation and feeling throughout the body as a whole. Mm. And if you can bring to mind somebody who you feel close to, imagine them in front of you, and just a bit to the left. Let's get a sense of that feeling of closeness you have in the person. And seeing that their friend appears a friend. Not getting too involved in too much story, but it's kind of getting a sense of that friend. And seeing, experiencing them as a friend, that sense of closeness. Then bring to mind a stranger maybe that you may see in the neighborhood, places that you shop. You don't really have any feelings or connection to. You'll notice the difference of that feeling towards this person, a stranger, compared to your friend. Feelings you feel towards your friend. And you think how that feeling of stranger could change. Maybe this person could be your friend in the future. Circumstances were different. And recognizing this person's humanity, basic wants, desires, life experiences that they may go through. Maybe noticing that with your friends, your friend may have been a stranger similar to this person at some point. Or if circumstances were different, maybe they could easily be a stranger now. And trying to hold and recognize the basic humanity in both. Apart from our feelings or lack of feelings towards these people, there's this deeper humanity, desire, having so. The sense of those categories melting away, and a sense of equal respect and care for both. And if a feeling of equanimity, equalness does arise, just be with that feeling, be held in that feeling, stay with that feeling. When you're ready, you can bring to mind somebody who's a little bit difficult for you. You'll start to notice that kind of tension, that kind of feeling of this person's kind of difficult for me, irritating, frustrating for me. Challenging to relate to. Maybe we can try to look under surface, maybe also again the same way, try to recognize their basic humanity, their basic wishes. Even if they're presenting in a difficult way, maybe there's some cause to that, some deeper kind of wounding or difficulty or circumstances that could make them present in a certain way, act in a certain way. If circumstances were different, maybe their action would be different. From underneath all that is the basic human desire for well-being. And similarly, circumstances were different. This person could easily just be a stranger that we didn't know. Or perhaps in different circumstances, they could be a dear close friend. Just like the others. If we can maybe try to hold all three people in our awareness, equally seeing their humanity, noticing these categories, these kind of responses are temporary and circumstantial, and something more fundamental, something deeper, beyond our labels. And see if we can melt and dissolve those categories and touching a sense of equality or equanimity towards all three. Not forcing anything. It's difficult to stay with the process, stay with what comes up. It's part of the benefit and the learning process of this type of practice. That feeling of equanimity does seem to arise, and just be present and feel, be with that, stay with that feeling of equanimity towards all three. And if that feeling of equanimity is present for you, and if you like, you can try to expand beyond those three people, expand to equanimity towards many people in your life. Expanding that out into your community. Expand that further if you like, beyond your community. If you're ready, you can slowly begin to let go of the meditation, let go of the contemplation, and then just come back to the breath and begin to come into the room. Present to your surroundings. Okay. So maybe we can take another rest, another break until maybe another 8 minutes until here it's 12 after, it's about 20 after. Yeah. Okay, so we can do the discovering clarity, recognizing clarity practice. A little bit challenging practice for some. Maybe it will come easy for you today, or not. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so we'll just do some settling practice, and then we'll imagine the Buddha above the crown of our head, and allow the Buddha to dissolve into us. So that's a way to help us kind of focus and it's kind of bring a wholeheartedness into the practice. It's supposed to bring a sense of inspiration and clarity and kind of a wholeheartedness. Which hopefully will help us with the clarity practice. So then we'll turn and look at thought and allow that dissolving process and kind of open to the clarity. Yeah, and that's one of the aspects of Buddhist psychology, starting to get to understand what thought is, starting to understand the nature of thought, so that we can detach from the thought, not identify with the thought. So instead of the thought being me, the thought is me, or the thought is my thought, or some sort of the thought itself is transient, insubstantial, temporary, and it goes for all thoughts. So with this practice, there's no good thought, bad thought, amazing thought, boring thought. All thoughts are equal. So there are practices where we do think and contemplate in a directed way to elicit a particular emotion, like the equanimity, or we're trying to elicit love, so to cultivate those particular kind of emotions. So thought can be useful in that way and directed in a particular way. That can be to our benefit. And then there's also practices where we try to see the transience of all thoughts, and the labels of good or bad, we let that go, in the sense of equality of all thoughts, so that we can start to have more space and autonomy in our mind, and start to break the reactivity chain of the thoughts. So when the thought comes up, it's just a thought, and so we have more freedom. And what people discover when we start to kind of detach and diffuse from the kind of an over-identification and kind of claustrophobia and intensity with identifying thoughts is that natural clarity and spaciousness that we keep hearing about when we talk about the nature of mind and so forth. That's just naturally there. And so we'll start to access that more. And over time that can become more of our reference point. So maybe before we start meditating, our reference point is just our thoughts. And over time, the meditation path will bring us start to shift from a reference point being thoughts and the reference point being kind of natural clarity, spaciousness, awareness. So it's a nice, useful practice of trying to see this kind of transient insubstantiality of thought in general, and then maybe getting to a little taste of the clarity. I'm sorry, my dog just ran. She just ate, so she's gonna be snorting and making all that noises. 1 second. So we can come back into our meditation posture. And bring our attention to movement of the breath, feeling of the breath. And then noticing the quality of the out breath and allowing it to settle us into the body. If you like, you can bring part of your attention down, or part of your body, the bones, the legs, feet. And begin to settle and connect with a sense of ground. And connecting with the earth below as you breathe. And when you feel ready, from that sense of ground, you can bring your awareness up into the trunk of the body. And aware, feeling, sensation of the trunk of the body. As you breathe. Trying to bring a quiet, present, non-judgmental awareness, not wanting to change anything. Just allowing feeling, sensation, thought, whatever's arising to be and move naturally as it does. And gradually expand your awareness through the limbs, the arms, legs, and head. Eventually, aware of the movement, sensation, and feeling throughout the body as a whole. Space of awareness, a few inches above the crown of your head. Appears that you petal white lotus. Nature of light. And on top of the lotus, the moon disk lying flat. On top of the lotus and moon disk appears Shakimuni Buddha. Radiant gold color. Seated in full lotus posture, wearing the saffron robes of a monk. And his left hand rests in his lap. And a begging bowl full of nectar, symbolizing the blissful nature of mind. His right hand rests over his right knee, the gesture of touching the earth, symbolizing confidence in Buddha nature and awakening. And the Buddha is smiling with narrow, compassionate eyes. And sensing the aura of light. Radiating a sense of confidence and inspiration in us, love, compassion. Holding us in this compassionate awareness totally as we are. And all this sense of loving kindness and wisdom, Buddha begins to descend down to the crown of our head, becoming smaller and smaller until we come in rest at our heart center. Bringing about a sense of oneness, our mind and body, and one in the same Buddha's mind. This is part of the practice. You can either keep your eyes closed or like you can have your eyes open. Sometimes it helps to see the clarity with your eyes open. When you have your eyes open, just kind of a soft gaze in the space in front. Make sure you're not in the computer. And you can just bring to mind an uninteresting thought. Some thought, gray, comfort. Holding your mind to any thought really. And then just to look directly at the thought. And then allow that thought to dissolve, dissipate. And see if you notice a gap or space, clarity, as the thought dissolves. And again, moving thought, you like, again, look at the thought. And as the thought dissolves, start to notice the space or clarity that remains. And you can stay with that space of clarity if it's present for you. And again, notice a thought, look at the thought for a bit. Stay with the thought and allow it to dissolve. Again, notice any clarity or space that remains. In your own time, gradually let go of the practice. And turn to the breath. Come back into the room. Okay, super. Thank you. So about 10 more minutes. Let go for folks. Any questions or practice?
I was able to anchor to my body better. This time it was just whoop. That was kind of cool. And the spaces between kind of seemed like a wormhole, and I could see clarity or something really cool on the other side, and then it would go as my concentration ebbed and weighed.
Yeah, it's nice how the repetition, that's kind of the benefit of retreat. You know, you just kind of keep coming back and sitting, like it's easier to start to settle. And you did this for another day. You know, it's gradually kind of be a deepening process. Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I had to keep about every 5 or 6 minutes, I had to keep grounding myself because of the guided imagery, but otherwise it was excellent.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, good to hear. Thank you, Christine.
I had a question about the equanimity, or it may be more of a comment. When I go to, and for me with equanimity, it's also connected to channeling compassion. When I go to do that with someone I don't like, I find that there is an element of sort of, it's competitiveness, but the bottom line would be anger, because it's like, in a way, I'm going to feel positively toward you, not because I really like you, but because I'm not going to let you interfere with my spiritual growth. And it feels like that's not a good motivation. But it's something that I'm going to have to work with, I guess. If you've got any comment on that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the practice, so the practice, it's a challenging practice. Equanimity is a very profound state of mind. So it's definitely challenging. And it's supposed to kind of bring up those kind of reactive patterns. So it's good it's good to have a goal and a framework and where, in a sense of where the practice is leading to, but also like you're doing, like, also notice like what's actually coming up for us, because that category is that's the real challenging one. Yeah, so it's great that you're noticing that it's kind of going in that direction, but yeah, maybe a sense of competitiveness or yeah, you can see if there's a couple of things. So it could, maybe if there's somebody that's less challenging, it could be something, maybe that person's a little bit kind of difficult, more on the difficult level. It's like level 3, maybe we get down to somebody's level 1 or something. Just so, yeah, we can kind of get the mechanics of what that kind of transformation feels like, and what it's like to go from a place of kind of bracing ourselves or kind of aversion to a sense of kind of cherishing, respecting. But one thing, one of my teachers, Yang Rinpoche, was saying that, and this is kind of true of Buddhist psychology, like we can kind of, if we're at a place of kind of frustration or aversion, or kind of competition or whatever, agitation, we need to kind of just keep scratching below that. So just keep going deeper to find the suffering. Because from Buddhist point of view, any sort of suffering manifestation, harmful activity or behavior or whatever, there's always kind of a cause to it, and there's kind of conditions underneath. If we can keep kind of looking for the deeper source for that person, deeper wounding, we all have this basic kind of fundamental anxiety of being human, of, there's just lots going on in the world. So that kind of frustration can be, when we're ready, it can be kind of a sign to keep trying to dig deeper to try to find the suffering for that person. And when we can see that person suffering genuinely, then we have opportunity to kind of transform it. But even then, that still can be sneaky too. Like we can see the suffering, but then kind of look down upon them or whatever. Like we're trying to have that same boat level, kind of equal level of suffering. It's like, oh yeah, that person's suffering, and they're messed up, but I'm totally sane and fine, and everything I do is right. So
yeah, that's a real big temptation for me to go there.
Yeah. So that can come up, and then oh, interesting, that's what's coming. Now I'm kind of that's what I'm doing, and maybe then kind of working with that, we can try to like even ourselves out and like see, I'm also suffering, and this person and I am the same. And sometimes that way of looking at that kind of logic of, well, if this person was in different circumstances, they could be a enemy in these categories, these kind of relationships, they change. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, friends become strangers, strangers become friends. It's a kind of a transient process. And that sometimes that can help also kind of break that kind of rigid way of seeing that person. Because, again, it is just kind of a projection from our side. And Yeah, but at the same time, the thing is like, well, yeah, but if I drop all my rejection to the person, what about like how they're behaving or whatever? And we can still have a sense of ethical grounding and boundaries and so forth, but we're just trying to dissolve that kind of fixation and try so we can get to that deeper place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because that's one of those questions. I think that's one of the questions. Like, if I do accept this person, am I accepting their behavior or am I accepting their harm? And so that's why it's difficult, and that's why there's a kind of a nuanced wisdom there, where we can see behavior for what it is, but also see that there's causes for the behavior, and there's kind of a deeper kind of basic goodness that's in all sentient beings. So we can actually hold both, which is a challenge, but it's kind of where we're trying to go to.
Christine says, if I approach a person from positive, negative, or neutral without judgment, simply observation, it helps me a lot.
Yeah, sometimes the judgment kind of it just kind of just limits us, distorts us, kind of stresses us out. If there's a way, like it frees. Equanimity is a very powerful state of mind. It's not like a numb thing. It's a very, very powerful, felt kind of strong. Jai, you're mentioning kind of that connection. It is very closely connected with compassion, love. There is this kind of strength in it, sense of groundedness, and it's a very healthy mind. And I think some natural kind of intelligence will come, is there too, of just like knowing right and wrong, or harmful and not harmful. Yeah, any last questions before we wrap up, or comments?
I was just gonna say, the positive, negative, neutral without judgment, that really hit home for me in doing the CEB curriculum from Dr. Wallace and with Venerable Lobosang Timpa. It's a really great program, as are all of these.
It's cultivating emotional balance.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's one online coming up, or maybe it just happened. Tibet House US is I think offering one of those programs soon.
For me personally, the very nice part about it was that I was able to take the Western 228 emotions and really minimize that down to the Tibetan Buddhist 5. and then recognize, like I said, positive, neutral, negative without judgment. That was very helpful.
Yeah, I have it on my screen too. Let's control the clicks. Great. So just recollecting all the practice we've done together today, all the positive energy, wholesome seeds we created together, and dedicating them to our awakening and sharing this energy with all beings. leads to their awakening as well. Welcome to recite together. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. And may the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen nor rise and grow, may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. And dedicating for the longevity of our teachers and to the spiritual director of FPMT, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You host the doers more away, serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjana's victorious doctrine. Masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels. Savor myself and others, your disciples. Please, please live long. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable kind Tenzin Gyatso. I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And for Lama Yeshe's birth, Tenzin Noso Hita, whose birthday was yesterday. In the long life, Venerable One, to use kindness exceeds that of all the conquerors for those wanderers in far-off places, especially the West. Mindful of your love and concern for us, and intentionally descended again to a family of a far distant land, and make this request. O Lama, please, please live long. Kind wishes to Cherub, resident teacher at the Santa Fe Center. Beloved teacher, leading your students towards wisdom and compassion, explaining through exacting discernment the steps of the graduate path. Be the unequal guide, please live a long and stable life. And then holding our hearts and body, our lives, we think of who needs support. Dedicating for them. Personal dedications of prayers we want to make now in the silent moment. All right, thank you so much. Thanks, Chela, for all your work and showing up and recording Zoom.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Yeah, so helpful. Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you all. And thanks, Jay, for waking up really early this morning and doing this. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thanks also, Venerable, for all your help and support. And,
We couldn't hear you, Venerable.
Oh, I said, please come back soon.
yeah, I hope to. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years since a lot of us in the Denver Center did that road trip down to Santa Fe when Lama Zopa Rinpoche was there. And it was like forever ago. Visit again in person sometime. It's a beautiful place. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of the weekends. Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful day or evening.